Hello everyone, my name is Webweaver and welcome back to another episode of Perhaps It's Look Who It Is. So here's the dealio. Oh, 3 additional mysteries. Yo, you can turn off Recluse if you want to. And Noisy Nails and Medusa. That's nuts. We'll just play with everything checked on. So apologies that there haven't been videos for a couple of days. It's been like extremely cold here for yesterday and today, and I didn't know why, and it was getting so cold that it was like actually a bother. So I was like, alright, I'm gonna turn the heater on, and then that's when I realized the blunder. That's when I realized why it was indeed so cold. You see, very shrimply, the thermostat wasn't working, and so the heater wasn't turning on. And so I was just lying under warm blankets like every evening, and I only left to raid, and then like after my raid was over, I was like, yeah, I'm just crawling under the warm blankets again, because that was the only place in the apartment that was warm. But now, the entire apartment is mildly warm, so we take those, chat, we do. We're so back. And you know what? Speaking of warm, how about the devouring fire? Sounds good to me. Listen, the thing about the cold, okay? And my opinion has not changed. I still prefer the cold over the extreme heat, right? I prefer freezing temperatures over extreme heat temperatures, alright? Here's the thing, though. Extreme heat temperatures, you just have to be careful of when you go outside and how long you stay outside, right? But for extreme cold temperatures, you need to be careful how long you go outside and, you know, when you go outside. And you also have to, like, bundle up properly, which means that I have to do more laundry, because that means I'm using more, I'm using my winter clothes. And, you know, sometimes it's, miserable out there and, like, damp or raining, and it's like, ugh. You have to do even more laundry. So it's like, not bad, but like mildly more annoying, and also like, you know, if your thermostat breaks, it's a little bit unpleasant. Just a little bit, you know, just a tiny bit unpleasant. We have the tree now, so we can do it like this. Surf's up, by the way. There will be a Pumpkin Panic video, probably Wednesday, because I recorded a couple of runs in Nightmare mode. They didn't last very long, so it was like probably like 14 minutes of footage, and I wanted to make a longer episode, but it was too cold, so I didn't want to record anymore, and so I crawled under the blankets. And it's just like, in the evening time, if there were blankets, I was under them, okay? It's true. It's real. We gotta go Thaumaturgy Teacher first or second. So I'm just looking at these other mysteries, and I'm like, are there any other mysteries here that I'd like to do first? And the answer is not really. Like, maybe the Freaky Feature forest mystery, but I don't know, it doesn't really matter. I don't really want to sell a bottle of water, I'll be real with you. But we could also prepare. I don't think we've used Mimi's prep item in a while, but I think we have a decent setup for this. We also don't even need to do this, because it'll be $3 for a bonus item. And listen, I'm camera pilled, okay? I'm camera pilled. I think the camera's pretty based. We get +1 knowledge for free, which actually immediately paid off. We rolled an 8 there. So, you know, you don't see that every day. But just being vindicated further and further. And, you know, I think potentially we're locked in. Give me a bottle of water. Give me a glug glug moment. Give me a scavenge for useful things and roll a nat 12 so we were screwed no matter what happened. And we could have actually gotten the, if we wanted to buy something for 4 funds for some reason, we could have got the handcuffs. Honestly, we maybe even could have had, if we had the, you know, magic store, we could have maybe picked up a cursed violin with the amount of money that we had available to us right off the bat. I think we could have done that. Honestly, I didn't really think about that. Mimi is potentially a great cursed violin user. You don't even need to... But we don't have the occult store, first of all. And secondly, the camera's, like, pretty based, though. Like, the camera's pretty good. The camera's really good. So our first enemy is going to be, oh, the misery everyone wants to be. My first enemy is going to be the gore-covered student, and my second one is going to be the school itself, you know? It's look who it is. So this is going to do 6 damage. But I think, honestly, like, what's our brace looking at? I don't think it's going to be that good, right? We can probably hit you for 6 here, but how do we follow that up? Perfectly, actually. So there's no reason to take any chances. We're not in a rush tonight. I mean, I maybe should be in a rush, because I don't really have that long to get this video out. If I want to, like, not, break the not uploading streak, because I didn't upload a video yesterday. So, you know, it would be like 2 days of not uploading a video. So, you know, we need to be quick in that regard, but, like...
Well, we're terribly sorry. We've lost Emmerdale.
Okay, sorry about that. I don't know where it cut off, but, like, you know, we can kind of just bing chill for a little bit. Now, one of the things that I'm actually kind of curious about is because the dodge, you know, that's a 108 Andy right here, but what about the camera flash? Like, can we hit the dodge and do an attack on the school? We can do an attack on the school with the dodge, but why don't we do a camera flash? I don't know if it has, like, a higher chance of working, but we can fit in a healing thing if we wanted to. But I don't know, we'll see. 4 Doom, by the way. We got hit. It is what it is. That is pretty cool, though. For real, for real. Excuse me, I hit go on the action, please. Thank you very much. Alright, we're good to go. But yeah, just, Pumpkin Panic might be a good thing to stream, like, once or twice. Because one of the things of doing, like, runs for it that, on a video is that, like, after a while, you just kind of, like, what am I supposed to do when I die? And then I have to, like, you're going through a 7-minute cutscene for me to get back to an interesting point in the run, right? Like, it's basically solved up until day 2, right? At least that's what I've got. It's basically solved up until day 2. So it's like, what's, you know, I feel like we can actually go charisma for sure here. I was thinking about quick thinking, and it does have a blue option. I'm also thinking about fast learner, if you can believe it or not. Just because any bonus EXP is probably worth it. Just because, like, we're not really getting anything valuable here. But we'll take anatomy class just because. And we can get a leadership and hopefully get to 8 charisma, if you don't mind. Now, we do have quite a bit of out-of-town gaming right now, but that's quite alright. We can just go found footage, and are we going to get ending A of found footage anytime soon? No. That'll be... We're going to unlock probably the rest of the characters first before we start hunting, random-ass mystery endings, just unless it just, like, lines up perfectly, but I can't really think of a way that we can conveniently get a can of acid, you know? Seems like a little bit of an inconvenient thing, so we'll see. The forest is completely safe. Now, we do have household hell, but we can redirect the police station to the mansion before we, like, when we go into that mystery, because it doesn't immediately lock us in, so there's no reason to go there right now. I'm not sweating, like, 90% of what's going on here. I think this is a camera moment, honestly. I think this is a camera moment, and then you send them to hell. 2 75% chances, or we, like, boost you know what? 2 75% chances, it's fine. Now, you can miss both of those, and you can flub the dodge. But you can do 2 85s and feel pretty good about that. We could have also thrown the bottle of sludge, and maybe that would have been a good idea. I'm hoping that with the variety that we have going on here, I don't want to trip on a branch. I'm thinking with the variety that we have going on here, we can kind of pretty safely not worry about this, but unfortunately, now we have to. Now, the enlightened path, okay, the correct thing to do is prep, attack, and then handcuff. However, I don't think I'm going to be able to hit that gritty. I think that if I do that, I'm going to die. I do not think I'll be able to handcuff schmoove that well. I don't think I'll be able to make it, because it's like, I don't know, like, in League of Legends, when I'm moving my mouse around, it feels a lot more accurate, but in this game, when you're moving your mouse around, it feels like, it's like, not really weighted, but it feels a lot more clunky than actually, like, moving your mouse around regularly. So if I was in, you know, maybe I'm hyping myself up. Maybe I'm hyping myself up we do it. But it'd be such a silly way to lose the run. But actually what we can do is we can regain 1 stamina. So if I don't do it fast enough, we lose sanity, but we live. How do we feel about that, chat? How do we feel about that? Alright, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. It's that easy. It's that easy. Just one quick... Perfect. We didn't even take the sanity damage. We did it perfectly fast. So that's the enlightened way that you want to do it. That's the line. That's the way that you go. And because we actually have variety now, because we're not playing on the public beta, we can actually, you know, look at this stuff and be like, oh my god, the wolves are walking on 2 legs, and take minus reason instead of like minus 8 stamina in 1 forest investigation. Listen, always gotta help the dog every single time. When is the last time you've seen attack dog? When is the last time you've seen attack dog, chat? I'm waiting. Look at that, we're taking reason cadaver after reason cadaver. This is the forest that I know. This is the forest that I've spent like 900 hours in, alright? It's just the most recent like 100 hours. That's when things are getting a little sketchy. Now, roads closed is really, really, really bad. But we go to household hell regardless. There's nothing you can really do about that. Can you believe that rolling back your update, like opting out of the most recent update in the game, that actually provides you with more content and more things to do? It is very silly if you think about it. And one of the things that I actually think is kind of well, okay, here's the thing. I feel a lot of ways about the silly bugs that we've been encountering with the public beta. Because on one hand, here's the thing. The purpose of a beta, alright, a lot of people forget this. Because betas nowadays, alphas nowadays, are just marketing material. You know, they are optimized playtests that are designed for the sole purpose of just hyping up the game as much as possible, so that when we all see betas and alphas, that's what we think of, right? Is we think of a polished demo product that we can play for free up until a certain period, then we have to buy the regular game, right? Yeah, sure, we can go to the seaside one more time. It'll be Surf's Up, dude. That's even better. No doom penalty at all. You'll love to see it. But the actual true purpose of a beta and an alpha is to play, like an alpha especially, it's like you're playing something that is borderline non-functional, and the developers are just collecting testing and play data, right? But a beta is something that is closer to the finished product, but it is still very buggy, right? And so I feel like one of the problems that I have with it is that this is the, like, you know, traditional kind of beta, where it's like, this is something where we could get 10 knowledge really easily here, but we can also start working on our strength. Are we going to level up 3 times? Or 2 more times? We can actually probably level up 2 more times. That's probably true. But why am I leveling up my strength? You need to ask yourself that question. And the answer is, you know, our combat gets better with knowledge. But we're going to upgrade our strength, because strength's a pretty good stat to have. But, like, you know, this is a traditional sort of beta where the purpose is actually doing, like, bug testing, right? I just think the meta of World of Horror kind of hurts the, and I don't, meta is a little bit of a weird word to use, but I think, like, the general state of World of Horror makes this a little bit more sketchy, because normally when a game would get a beta or a public beta, the feedback to the developers would be, helpful, and it would also be, like, something... That's actually a bummer that we rolled a nat 12 there. Very unfortunate. It very much is something like, they, like, this beta, this public beta that World of Horror has, right? We're not getting 3 books here. We're not getting 3 books here, I can guarantee that. Even though we are going to the school and we'll have, like, an opportunity of getting more books, I don't think we're getting more books here. This is definitely where you use this, right? Definitely. And I think we can just guarantee 14 damage here, right? We can indeed. Very nice. Love to see that. Now, we might still die, but it's very unlikely. It is very unlikely. But, like, here's the thing, right? Normally, a public beta would actually be helpful to the developers, and it would give the community some sort of agency, or at least apparent agency on the game, where it's like, we're doing a public beta, we're providing feedback, the feedback is being addressed in real time, but that's just, like, a public beta is not useful for World of Horror, right? Because all it does is it provides a, like, layer of player responsibility to the game having a lot of bugs, right? So the update that comes out is the, like, refined one, quote unquote, that has less bugs. And then the new content gets pushed into the public beta where it's very buggy and glitchy. And that would work if that was how it worked at, like, a reasonable or, like, an expected time scale, right? Or there was communication involved with the time scale. Right, like, obviously, I don't want to say, like, waiting a year for an update is unreasonable for, like, an indie developer, but, an indie developer who's got, like, a full-time job outside of this and is, like, working on other things and has obligations to do with, like, the console ports and all that, right? Like, I don't want to say that, getting the public beta's bugs fixed is, like, top priority number 1, I don't know what's going on over there. I think we do Coma last, right? I don't really want to do school right now, but I think that since we're almost about to level up, it's probably fine. We can put the black hair in the storage. We don't have to worry about that right now. Now, kind of where I'm going with this, right, is that... Ooh, it's the boss fight. This is going to be a little bit nasty. The part of where I'm going with this is that there is nothing about World of Horror's development cycle that is benefited from having a public beta, right? The only thing that it is doing is, like, okay, all of the bugs that Panstash knows about are in the public beta, and they're not going to get fixed until, God knows when. Probably in, like, a month or 2 if we're going by, like, historical data, you know what I mean? I don't want to... Here's the problem, we have to throw, but here's the thing, we also have a lump of flesh. Do we just take the damage? Do we use, like, a camera flash and take the damage if we take the damage? Because I need to kind of preserve my throwables here. We've got, like, we've got a pretty nasty boss incoming. Or we could alternatively... No, not at all. Now, that works. I think we just do this, and if we get hit, we get hit. We have a lump of flesh is like a... look who it is. Oh, he's weak. We could have boosted it a little bit. That's fine. If we get hit, we get hit. We have a lump of flesh. We can actually, maybe if we're lucky, take this into the boss fight. Now, obviously, if we have to, we'll eat it. Like, if we die to an event randomly, right? But I think we're gonna be okay. I think we're gonna be fine. Because, like, here's the thing. The forest bug that that made me, like, do the save file again, right? Or, like, roll back the save file to a previous update. The reason why I did that bug is that bug was known, like, I don't know if it was before the public beta came out, like 1.02 Jokey came out, but it was like May 3rd, and we live streamed it on like May 5th, right? Like it was like May 5th or May 6th. So it was known before I got into it, and I'm pretty sure I streamed like the public beta like pretty early on. And so it kind of just feels like the public beta was pushed out to be an update. This is my conspiracy theory, okay? This is not true. This is a conspiracy theory. This is tinfoil hats. This is, you take this with, like, a bag of salt. Not a pinch of salt, not a grain of salt, a bag of salt. Like a handful of salt, Like, you have so much salt in your hands that it's pouring through your, like, the gaps in your fingers, okay? You have so much salt, alright? Here's the deal. I think that this is, like, it was meant to be, like, a mainline update. But then, there were some pretty annoying game-breaking bugs, and so the public beta feature was implemented so that the people who wanted to see the new content or wanted to see the update could experience the update. But then they couldn't, like, complain about the fact that the open beta has bugs, right? The public open beta that you have to opt into has bugs. That's my lunatic conspiracy theory, because that's just my lunatic conspiracy theory. How much damage is it actually doing? This is gonna do like 12, right? So we're better off doing something like this. Alright, we're gonna eat the lump of flesh. That's fine. And then we're gonna for gore void. So if you miss, it's okay. It's not really okay, you need to hit, but like, listen, the power attack might have rounded up to 15 for all I know. I have no idea. Are we really not gonna get leadership this entire time? Like, seriously? Like, that's crazy if we never get leadership. I'll take quick thinking, even though it doesn't do anything. Maybe we should have taken fast learner, just so that we could get our level up faster, but I don't really think it matters. But yeah, no, I think that's, I think a public beta doesn't do anything for World of Horror, and I got mad at the bug, because it's like, it is a known bug that was, like, on the launch or before the launch of the public beta, and it was just left that way for, like, 8 months, 8+ months, and counting, right? And eventually, it'll get fixed. But I think the problem is, it's like, it's just sort of the overall, like, greater culture of WoW, if that makes sense, you know what I mean? Like, it's always gonna be like this because it always has been like this, and it will never change, because this is how the entire development of the game has gone, right? And I think it was a bit of a skill issue on my part for not wanting to play World of Horror for a few days, just because I was, like, a little bit mad about it. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I was just a little bit tilted. But I realized it was sort of a skill issue on my part, because it's the same thing that's always been done. If I didn't get mad at it, like, 3 years ago, why am I gonna get mad at it now? It is what it is, They performed countless. Is this worth doing? Not at all. Absolutely. Absolutely not. We're getting out of here. The EXP isn't worth it. We have so much doom for wiggle room here. We're gonna level up. I didn't even need to do that, by the way. We didn't need the EXP. The mystery end will level us up here. Now you are a problem. You are very, very much a problem. I think I gotta... I mean, I'm not really happy with this, but we can do a 95-85. And take, 5 damage, but it is what it is. We can rest. We can rest. We can chill. We can rest. We can chill. I'm not articulating my thoughts very well, which, classic Webweaver moment, but it's basically like, World of Horror doesn't benefit from a public beta in any way, because there's nothing that the community benefits from a public beta, besides, like, getting to try new content early, quote-unquote, I guess. And, you know, Panstash doesn't benefit from a public beta at all, because it seems like a lot of the bugs Panstash already knew about before shipping the public beta, so, you know, what do you need? Like, just people to get mad at you for the public beta existing? And also, you know, it divides the modding community, because some people make their mods for the public beta and some people don't. Now, I'm pretty sure people who make their... I'm pretty sure... I don't know if it matters, because I have downloaded mods on the public beta that did not say that they were for the public beta, right? So I don't know how much it matters. And also, like, I downgraded this save file from 1.02 to 1.01, and I didn't reset my save file, and so far there's been no consequence, right? This game is very, like, plug and play in some aspects, right? But, like, what I'm, like, saying, though, is, like, there's no real benefit to having a public beta. Like, either don't ship the update because it's bugged, or do ship the update and it's bugged for, like, you know, 12... It's bugged for, like, 11 months to a year, right? And then that's just, like, the WoW experience, you know? I understand that there might be, like, a higher source of... Or there might be more, like, stakes, I guess, quote-unquote, or question mark, because the game launched. And so it's like, you don't really want to do an update to the game that makes the game worse. And I would definitely be way madder if it was, like, the 1.01 version of the game had the bug. But, like... I don't know, it's just like, that's the entire history of World of Horror, you know? Update gets shipped, update breaks something. It's just, it is what it is. It's the entire history of the game. Like, can I get mad at it now? I don't know. It's a weird experience. It's a weird game. Do I really care about the lighthouse here? No, we can, at most, take -3, +10. There's not really anything going on here. Well, yeah, we can take -3, -3, +10, but that doesn't hurt me in any way. Do I need to do the math here? I don't think I do. I'm just pressing the buttons. I'm not looking at the boss's health bar. I'm not looking at my damage. Just because it's like, we get +1 from this, +1 from that. We're doing this amount of damage, but we're actually doing this amount of damage, and we're kicking this stupid piece of marble over. We're destroying priceless art, historical art, from a museum, Mimi. The hell is wrong with you? Anyways, we unlocked 2 new achievements, apparently. Is this true? Is this true, chat? It looks like it. We're at 39.58% now. Win your second playthrough unlocks Mimi. Ooh, unlocks Ghostly Spear? Hell yeah. Absolutely love to see it. Absolutely love to see it. Like, it's a good game, and I think, like, if you're thinking about buying it, it's, like, worth it, you know? And I think that if you're buying it at, like, Halloween, is, like, perfect. You know, I think it's, like, literally perfect if you're buying it at Halloween. It's a very spooky game. You can have a lot of fun with it, but I don't know. The World of Horror community TM. I think that if you're, like, a member of the WoW community, it's just, like, an absolute shambles. I don't know why, but I went to the Steam page, and I just was looking at the most helpful reviews, and there's the most helpful reviews in the past 30 days, and it's let's see, not recommended. Oh boy, let's go. I mean, most of the reviews are positive, but the one at the very top is not recommended, and we're on our negativity arc right now. We're on our being slightly madge at World of Horror arc, so let's review this review. Let's review this review? Let's read this review that has a clown emoji, jester, a poetry emoji, and an extra helpful emoji. And then we will rank it, and we will give it our own emoji, okay? We will give it our own emoji. I'm feeling right off the bat, I'm feeling, fire-breathing chicken emoji, or, I'm feeling fire-breathing chicken emoji before I've even read the review. So let's do it. The retro is... should I read the person's name? Because it's like, I don't know if I'm going to agree with them or disagree with them. And it's like, I want to give somebody credit for their review, because, like, review is, like, a review is work, technically, right? It's a work that could influence somebody to purchase, to spend their money. I don't know, man. Listen, brother, listen, sister. I don't know. It's like the top review, but it's negative, and we're on the World of Horror channel for the World of Horror Andes out there. I don't know. I don't know at all. I guess I'll read the review first, and if it's like super negative, then you know, I'll probably not read the person's name, because I don't want you to beat their ass. But anyways, the retro vibe and Lovecraft Ito atmosphere seem like a match made in heaven at first. Then after a couple hours of playing, you start to notice that certain mechanics seem incomplete. The narratives and events are glitchy, and entire sections feel like a bare minimum placeholder was created so the game would be playable without actually being finished. It still feels like an early access title. It took me about 5 to 6 hours to become frustrated and bored with the game in its current state. After looking into the game's history, the gist is... Oh, here we go. Listen, I was there for this. I was there for this. Is this historical revisionism? Is this somebody coming into the community and then looking at the history and being like, this is what happened when something did not happen or something did happen? This is exciting. After looking into the game's history, the gist is... The solo dev became erratic and flaky partway through the early access process, eventually found a publisher and created some content placeholders and a cool trailer, so he could call it a 1.0 release. And since then has disappeared without ever publishing any updates or fixes he promised. It's been about a year since anyone has heard from him. This game might look like your cup of eldritch tea, but I don't recommend giving this guy your money. I tend to give solo and small developer teams a ton of slack, but this is really not a finished product. And the dev was actively misleading about that. Alright, so... There are some things here in the historical account that are wrong. Yizbird Games has been publishing this game basically since the beginning, right? Like, I don't know if it was there, like, on the very initial release, but, like, they were, like... they've been making World of Horror merch since the game came out. So, like, they didn't... The Panstash didn't find a publisher. Yizbird's been publishing this game forever, right? Like, they were part and parcel for the entire early access process, right? So that's just, like, one objectively incorrect thing that was stated there. It is a really cool trailer, though. The trailer for WoW is amazing. It is really immaculate. And also, any updates or fixes is also wrong. And this was posted in December of last month. So, like, you were playing on 1.01, right? And you had the option to play on 1.02. So it's like... I understand the gist of the review. I think it's relatively fair, but it does get several things... Or I think it's a few things wrong. Like, objectively wrong. But, you know, it is really funny how many, like, things exist in this game that just don't do anything because they were tied to, like, a super early version of the game, right? Like, remember that one version of WoW that we got to play, Kyofo no Sekai? And it was, it had the forest tapes, and you had to get, like, a tape player, for lack of a better word. I forget what it's called. I haven't used one in, like, 20 years. But... you know, like a tape player, you know, like a cassette player. You would get the tapes, and you would get the tapes, and then you could listen to them on the player, right? And that was a mechanic in a version of the game that no longer exists, that uses, like, dice and cards more so than this version does, right? So, you know, there are just some things that existed in versions of the game that most people will never get to play. And they are left over in WoW, and they exist in WoW, but, like, you know, how do I put this? Like, they exist in the World of Horror that we know as today, but they don't do anything, because they were in a really old version of the game, and they just kind of kept getting ported forward, and there were plans to do things, but the content got cut, but the items are still in the game, right? And then there are some items that just do so little that they basically don't exist, right? Like, the flare gun is completely useless, right? Like, it exists and you can use it, and we've unironically used it, like, once, but I think unironically using an item once in over 1,000 hours isn't that good, chat, if I'm being honest. Listen, I think that this is a fine review, and I think it's fair, and the things that they get wrong are, like, you know, things that, I mean, it does kind of matter. Like, the framing seems more malicious than I think the truth actually is, right? Because I don't think Panstash has ever been actively misleading. I just think that Panstash is working on, like, a long-ass timeline that, you know, Panstash's plans are in centuries. Our plans are in, like, months, you know? Because, like, here's the thing. If Panstash was a complete scammer, right? You would never get this game. Because this is a game that has been constantly reworked and is taking things from other games and other genres and other mediums and stitching it all together into the patchwork that we know, right? And so I don't think that this is... What World of Horror should have been is it should have just been, like, somebody's solo passion project that was just released on, like, itch.io or something, you know? The fact that there's tons of merch, that's a banger, by the way, physical copies, marketing, articles written about it as, like, a, you know... like, Panstash is not operating as a developer that people are used to, and so it looks like a scam from the outside, right? And it feels like it to an extent in the case of you go, like, the game comes out, and then, like, there are bugs, and there are, like, dead-end pieces of content, and, you know, there's, like, talk about the future, like, vague talk about the future, like, oh, updates and paid DLC, etc., right? But a lot of just stuff goes nowhere, and then you see it, like, you know, 8 months later, and nothing has happened. But the thing is, it's like, that was the entirety of the early access process, and if you look at WoW's, like, major... I really should talk to some people who are way more knowledgeable than me and then make, like, a WoW timeline, because from what I remember, World of Horror was originally, like, this Fallout apocalypse game, and then it got workshopped into, like, a physical card game, and then it got workshopped a couple more times into, like, a different game, and then we got, like, Kyofo no Sekai, which was, like, a digital board game, which we've played on this channel, by the way, and it was, like, a digital board game, and it was very much more heavily... It used dice a lot more, it used card drawing a lot more, like, you literally drew cards, right? And then eventually, it got changed and workshopped, and we got, like, the School Scissors thing, and then it got, like, expanded upon. Like, World of Horror has been this project that has been worked on for a long, long time as a pure, like, developer passion project that gets updated, like, once a year. And that's one of the reasons why it's interesting. That's one of the reasons why we've kept with it for so long, is that you really never know what's gonna happen in this game. Like, if you look at the Steam page right now, it has the old UI. Like, the old UI that doesn't exist in the game anymore, where the Doom icon is behind the character. Like, the Doom progress meter is behind the character. It has the old UI that doesn't exist anymore. Like, think about that. And you can see as you're clicking through, like, I think all the screenshots are from 9.14, but then you get to, like, screenshot 12, and then it's 1.0. Right? Like, and then it's, like, 1.0D. Like, I remember playing all this shit, you know? And also, what's absolutely wild, I didn't even realize it right here, is you can see playable Kana in the screenshots. So, like, playable Kana was such a big deal for the community for so long, and then you just show playable Kana? That's crazy. Like, that's so crazy. Like, the secret character you get for 100% completion is in the store page screenshots. It's immaculate. Like, I love looking at this because the screenshots for the full release of the game, most of them, like the screenshots that most people will ever see, right? The first, I think it's literally the first 11 screenshots of the game. The first 11 screenshots of the game are all from a version of the game that no longer exists with old UI. Like, that shit is so funny. Like, that shit is so funny. Now don't get me wrong, 0.9.14 was peak, alright? But, like, it's so funny, dude. Like, and that's one of the reasons that makes World of Horror goated, is it's this bizarre patchwork. Oh my god, Bizarre mentioned? When am I gonna play Bizarre? When Bizarre series when? No, stop. Although I would definitely play Vanessa or the Pig. I'm not playing Dooley, alright? I'm not a Dooley Andy. Maybe when it goes free to play. But yeah, no, I just... I did say I would give this review an award. I think I think my initial impression was fire-breathing chicken, and I think fire-breathing chicken is the way that we'll go. I think we'll go. I think we'll do fire-breathing chicken. I don't even know if it went through. I did it, and it says it is a check mark, but I don't see the fire-breathing chicken. But anyways, yeah, World of Horror is a weird game. It's a weird, bizarre game, and the patchwork nature of it, where you just see it evolve, is just so cool, right? Because it is a project that someone has been working on as a passion project, and they decided to sell it for money. And I don't know, sometimes it feels like we shouldn't be able to see World of Horror, right? Like, sometimes it feels like it should just be like a private project that, you know, your dentist friend invites you over to his house, and you walk in his weird frog basement, and he's like, hey dude, check this out. And then he boots up Kyoko no Sekai. And then you have like the demo products, like the product demo of like the physical version of it. And he's like, isn't this cool, right? And you're like, oh hell yeah, brother. Like, I don't know. Like I maybe I'm giving WoW a little bit too much credit, but like, if you were a developer that was doing, like, I have experienced a lot of developers doing scam games, right? And the thing is, they don't consistently come back and add new content, right? Like, that's the thing, is that every single WoW Discourse cycle is update happens, hype for the game happens, people play the new content, Panstash goes dead for like a year, and then the cycle repeats, right? Like, literally every single time. Like, what this person is describing in their review is the same thing that people were saying when the game first came out in early access, and after every single update. Every single update. Because of the gap in time between update and whatchamacallit, right? So I think, anyways, calling it a, whatchamacallit, I don't think it's malicious. I genuinely think, like, this is a passion project that should probably not have been sold for money because it doesn't have the, I mean, listen, I will happily pay money for it. I will buy the DLC if it ever comes out, but, like, I feel like, from what people expect for money, right? That's what I'm saying, right? For what people expect for buying a video game, I don't think the development cycle of WoW was ever going to be successful. But hey, you know, listen. Like, very positive on Steam, even with recent reviews. Top 5 best horror games of 2023 IGN. Best of the year RPG site best art. Indiecade Visual Design Award, and Debug Indie Best Art Direction winner. Like, listen, I think it's a relatively successful game. I think so. Even if it isn't the roguelite spectacle that people are talking about every day that I hope that I was hoping for. Anyways, I've yapped for way too long. I don't know, I think because I had, like, some corrections and some negative thoughts about the review, I probably shouldn't say the person's name, because, you know, you never know if somebody is watching this and they're gonna be like, I will beat this person up online, and it's like, you probably just better to not do that. But anyways, yeah, I think it was a fine review. I think we need to read more negative World of Horror reviews, because I think it would be funny. But, you know, there's not really a lot of negative reviews, because most of the reviews are positive, so... Peak, this game is really good. Really good. RLY good. And has high replayability. No two runs could be the same. Do they know, chat? Do they know? Me walking into the forest, getting ready to watch the Forest Watchers for the 9th time in a row. Oh. Probably not intended to play this game for 1,000 hours, you know, so you'll probably get the same runs once or twice after 1,000 hours of playing. One of these reviews is just a catalog of every single Junji Ito reference. Wait, thumbs up. 6.1 hours on record. Early access review. Must be how Kanye West sees the world. I think that's enough